In cinema, every glance is calculated, every frame rehearsed. What we see, what we're allowed to see, is the result of meticulous planning, angles, and performance. The camera is meant to observe, not to be observed. And yet, sometimes, it happens. A moment barely noticeable, easily dismissed when someone on screen turns their eyes to the lens. Maybe just for a second, maybe a full stare. It's not part of the script. It's not a wink to the audience, like in Ferris Bueller or Deadpool. This isn't charming. It's unsettling. These aren't fourth wall breaks by design. These are slips, accidents, anomalies, or so we're told. An extra in the background staring directly into the lens, a main actor pausing for half a second too long, a child in a horror scene, eyes fixed on something just behind the camera crew. It's not meant to happen, but it did. And it raises a question few dare to ask. If the actors weren't supposed to see the camera, what were they really looking at? Today, we're not talking about bloopers. We're diving into 15 films where the fourth wall was broken accidentally, silently, and chillingly. Moments hidden in plain sight. Moments never acknowledged in interviews, commentaries, or scripts. Moments that feel like someone on screen saw something we didn't. Are these subconscious choices? Forgotten edits? Or is it possible, just possible, that someone, somewhere, was trying to be seen? These are the scenes that look back, and not in the way you expect. The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. We expect Hannibal Lecter to look at us. That's his power. To pierce the screen, to unnerve without blinking. But the most haunting fourth wall break in The Silence of the Lambs doesn't come from him. It comes from Clarice. In one scene, as she descends into Buffalo Bill's lair, gun drawn, the camera becomes her eyes. Darkness surrounds her. She breathes, she moves, and then she looks at us, just for a moment. The flashlight catches her face in profile, and her eyes shift not toward the threat, but toward the lens. It's a look of fear, of realization. Then it's gone. Was it Jodie Foster breaking character? A framing anomaly? In cinema, every glance is calculated, every frame rehearsed. What we see, what we're allowed to see, is the result of meticulous planning, angles, and performance. The camera is meant to observe, not to be observed. And maybe she doesn't trust us either. Cache 2005. Michael Haneke's Cache is a film about surveillance, guilt, and the illusion of safety. The entire story is told through static cameras, long takes, and the fear of being watched. But the most disturbing moment isn't violent. It's quiet. As Georges walks down a street, the camera lingers from afar. Pedestrians move in and out of frame, and then one of them looks at the camera and stops walking. He stands still, watching, waiting. He isn't part of the plot. He isn't identified. But for nearly 10 seconds, he remains frozen, eyes fixed on the lens as if he knows something we don't. Haneke never commented. The actor was never named. But in a film about passive observation, what happens when the observed observes back? Is this the camera's fault or our? Hereditary, 2018. Ari Aster's Hereditary thrives on grief, madness, and unseen terrors. But amidst all its trauma and symbolism, one scene feels off. Not because of what happens, but because of who notices. During a dinner table confrontation, as Toni Collette's character erupts, the camera cuts briefly to the teenage son, Peter. His eyes well up, his mouth opens. And then he looks into the camera. It's not accidental. It's not dramatic. It's desperate. Only for a second. Then he looks away. Some argue he's reacting to his mother, but the line of sight is wrong. Others suggest it's a visual metaphor, a cry for help from someone aware. He's trapped in a story he can't escape. Aster has never confirmed it. But the moment is never repeated, never referenced. Just a boy, broken, looking for someone, anyone to acknowledge his suffering. And he finds us. Possession, 1981. Andrzej Żuławski's Possession is a descent into emotional madness. It's a film that never gives you solid ground to stand on and then removes the ground altogether. In one quiet sequence, Mark speaks with a schoolteacher. The conversation is ordinary, controlled, but through a frosted glass door behind them, a motionless young man stands, staring in. He never blinks. He never shifts. He isn't acknowledged. You'd think it was a reflection until you realize his angle doesn't match anything in the room. There's no mention of this figure in production notes. He's not listed in the cast. There's no logic to his presence, and yet he's there, seared into the edge of the frame. Is he a mistake? A ghosted extra? A thematic echo? Or is he something the camera noticed before the story did? In a film about possession and the splitting of self, perhaps this was the moment where the film fractured and let someone else in. Eyes wide shut, 1999. Kubrick's final film is a dreamscape, surreal, erotic, and coldly hypnotic. But within its masked rituals and secret societies lies one of the most unnerving moments of unplanned contact. During the infamous orgy sequence, the camera glides past silent, still participants. Most are wearing masks, most remain frozen, but one man doesn't. As the camera lingers near a marble column, a masked figure turns his head and stares directly into the lens. There is no movement in the scene, no music, just that look. The face behind the mask is unreadable, but the posture? Deliberate. He isn't part of the central action. He never appears again. He just watches. Was it a mistake? A background actor misreading direction? Or, in a film drenched in voyeurism and conspiracy, was it Kubrick's final trick letting the viewer know they too are being watched? It's not just Tom Cruise who's out of place. It's us. No Country for Old Men, 2007. In a film defined by silence and inevitability, No Country for Old Men plays like a quiet nightmare. Anton Chigurh, with his dead eyes and ritualistic violence, doesn't just haunt the characters, he invades the audience. In one late scene, Chigurh walks through a darkened hallway. The camera follows from behind. He pauses, and then slowly turns to look over his shoulder directly at the lens. It isn't framed like a reveal. It's not composed to break the fourth wall. And yet, for 3 seconds, he watches us. It's subtle, too smooth to be a blooper, but too long to ignore. Some say it was Javier Bardem checking his mark, caught on film. Others insist it was intentional, a moment of meta-horror buried beneath realism, but the Coen brothers never acknowledged it. In a film where fate is unavoidable and morality evaporates, what does it mean when the killer sees us and says nothing? Is it judgment, recognition, or a reminder that the violence isn't confined to fiction? Poltergeist 1982. Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist is often remembered for its practical effects, suburban horror, and Spielberg's hidden fingerprints. But one particular scene, the bedroom chaos, contains something that's never been fully explained. As the toys swirl midair and furniture levitates, the camera captures the panic of the Freeling family. But for one frame, less than half a second, a face appears in the corner mirror. It's not the family, not the camera crew. It's a man in a white shirt, half lit, staring straight into the mirror, which reflects directly into the lens. His posture doesn't match anyone on set. His appearance? Unfamiliar. Many call it a lighting artifact. Others claim it's a crew member caught by mistake. But here's the problem. There was no mirror in that room. The production design confirms it. Yet the reflection is clear. So what exactly are we seeing? In a film about spiritual intrusion, maybe the lens caught more than the script intended. Fight Club 1999. David Fincher's Fight Club already dances on the edge of reality. Tyler Durden appears and disappears in flickers of film. The narrator speaks directly to us. But one glance in the film feels like it wasn't meant to be there. During the support group meetings, just before Marla is introduced, the camera pans past various attendees. One man never named, never given a line, looks into the camera and smiles. Not a big smile, just acknowledgement. A half-second flicker of knowing. He's gone in the next frame. Many assumed it was a nod to the meta nature of the story. But when asked, Fincher denied embedding any intentional fourth wall breaks in that sequence. The look was not in the plan. Could it have been a mistake? A deleted subplot? Or maybe a relic of Tyler's influence bleeding into the editing room? What if the film's narrator isn't the only one losing control? Don't Look Now, 1973. Nicholas Roeg's Don't Look Now is a film about grief, perception, and the eerie dislocation of reality. Venice, with its fog and canals, becomes a maze of memory. But amidst all that psychological complexity, there's one brief, jarring moment. During a slow pan across a church interior, the camera lingers on extras seated in pews. As the shot glides past a woman in black, the man beside her turns and looks directly at the lens. He doesn't blink, he doesn't look away, he just stares. It lasts no more than 2 seconds. But that's all it takes. What makes it worse? His expression. It's not surprise or confusion, it's recognition. The production notes mention no issue with that scene. The director never commented. The man isn't credited, nor is he seen again. It's as if he wasn't part of the film at all. In a story built on premonition and fate, was this man a ghost of the narrative or of the production itself? Signs, 2002. M. Night Shyamalan's Signs is remembered for its suspense, its crop circles, and that birthday party video reveal. But there's another scene, quieter, less discussed, that contains a moment never meant to be noticed. In the basement, as the family hides from the intruders, The camera pans slowly across their frightened faces. Joaquin Phoenix's character holds a flashlight. The beam passes over the children and for a split second, catches someone else. In the far background, behind a stack of storage boxes, eyes glint. Human eyes. They're open, they blink, and they're looking directly at us. No one reacts. The scene continues. It's not one of the aliens. It's not one of the family members. And yet, it's there. Some fans suggest it was Shyamalan himself appearing again as a silent observer. Others believe it was an optical illusion, but frame-by-frame analysis shows it clearly. A person staring out from the dark. In a film about the unseen, sometimes the most frightening presence is the one hiding in plain sight. The Others, 2001. Nicole Kidman's performance in The Others is full of restrained terror. The film plays with shadows, silence, and uncertainty, making the viewer feel like they are the ones being watched. But near the midpoint, during a candlelit conversation between Grace and her children, there's a flicker. Not of light, but of eye contact. As the camera slowly circles the dinner table, the boy Nicholas follows it with his eyes. Not in character, not toward his mother, but directly at the viewer. His gaze is unwavering, almost mournful. The director, Alejandro Amenabar, never addressed the moment. Critics didn't mention it, but fans online began to notice. A look too intense, too focused to be a coincidence. Is it a child actor slipping out of character? Or did he sense something behind the lens? In a story built on unseen presences and unspoken truths, that one glance speaks volumes. What if it wasn't just Grace seeing ghosts? Goodfellas, 1990. Martin Scorsese is known for breaking cinematic rules on purpose, but Goodfellas is tightly controlled, with performances so immersive that every glance feels lived in, which is why this moment near the end feels wrong. During Henry Hill's paranoid spiral, he walks through his house, high on cocaine, convinced helicopters are following him. As the camera trails him into the kitchen, Lorraine Bracco's character Karen briefly looks straight into the lens. It's not playful, it's not theatrical, it's uncomfortable. It happens quickly. Her face is tense, uncertain, as if she sees something she shouldn't. Then she looks away, and the scene continues. Commentators brushed it off as an acting slip, but Bracco never acknowledged it. Scorsese didn't cut it, and it remains in every version of the film. Was it a meta moment? A subconscious nod to the camera as surveillance? Or was Karen, in that moment, no longer acting? The fourth wall didn't break like in Ferris Bueller. It cracked quietly and never healed. The Blair Witch Project, 1999. Found footage relies on authenticity, and the Blair Witch Project blurred that line so well, people believed it was real. But one scene barely mentioned in fan forums stands out for the wrong reasons. Heather, sobbing into the camera, delivers the now iconic monologue. But moments before she turns it on herself, the lens pans across the forest and catches something. It's not a witch, not a figure in the trees. It's a man, standing in the far left corner of the frame, wearing no costume, looking directly into the lens. He's not in the script, not one of the three main characters. And yet, he doesn't flinch. He just stares before the camera moves away. Many assumed it was a crew member, but the directors insist the crew was never near the actors. They used GPS markers. The actors were left to improvise alone. So who was he? Could someone have wandered into set? Or was this part of the myth, embedded so deeply, even the filmmakers didn't see it? When reality and fiction blur, sometimes the scariest thing isn't the witch. It's the one person who wasn't supposed to be there watching. Children of Men, 2006. In the chaos of a war-torn refugee camp, Theo moves through gunfire, smoke, and screams. Emmanuel Lubezki's handheld camera never cuts, creating one of the most iconic long takes in modern cinema. And in that continuous shot, someone breaks the spell. As the camera follows Theo past a ruined building, a man sitting against the wall looks up not at Clive Owen, not at the chaos, but straight into the camera lens. It's not a blink or a glance. It's a full moment of contact, like he's silently pleading to be seen. He isn't a known extra. No one credits him. In subsequent edits, the moment remains. It's subtle, but once spotted, it changes the scene. Did he think filming had stopped? Did he see something behind the lens? Or was the pressure of the moment too much to ignore the presence of the observer? In a film about surveillance, hope, and human collapse, this unscripted look feels deliberate, even prophetic. Is he a victim of war or a messenger? The Shining, 1980. There's a hallway scene in The Shining that's been dissected for decades. Most eyes are drawn to the twins, to the impossible architecture, or to Jack Torrance's descent into madness. But freeze the frame just before Danny turns a corner. A figure, barely noticeable, standing in the shadows near the ceiling's edge. Their eyes are locked not on Danny, but on us. It's not Jack, not a crew member, not even a reflection. The figure isn't in the call sheet, not listed in any behind-the-scenes photos. Kubrick was a perfectionist. He rehearsed until actors broke. He controlled every shot. So how did this happen? Some believe it was a mistake, a crew member caught in frame. But no lighting rig is visible, no boom mic shadow, just a face, a stare. So direct it breaks the illusion, like someone waiting behind the walls of the Overlook Hotel, not to haunt the characters, but the audience. The DVD commentary? Silent. The 4 Kelvins remaster? Still there. Was it intentional? If so, why leave it unmentioned? Or was it an accident the film didn't want us to notice because once you do, you can't unsee it? The Passion of Joan of Arc, 1928. Nearly a century old, Carl Theodor Dreyer's The Passion of Joan of Arc is a silent film built entirely on faces, raw, intimate, unfiltered. But one shot remains uniquely haunting, not because of what's shown, but because of how we're seen. As Joan stands trial, the camera lingers on her tear-streaked face. Behind her, out of focus, sits a figure hooded, motionless. He isn't a guard, he isn't a priest, he's barely lit. And then he looks at the camera. The frame holds, no movement, no distraction. He doesn't interact with Joan, he doesn't reappear. His presence is never acknowledged in any production notes or film history texts, but his gaze is unmistakable. It's a reminder that even in cinema's earliest expressions, the barrier between audience and image was fragile. That someone, even in 1928, could slip through the composition and stare back through time. Maybe he wasn't acting. Maybe he wasn't supposed to be there at all. These weren't fourth wall breaks designed to be clever. They weren't jokes. They weren't winks. They were moments that slipped through the frame where eyes met ours unintentionally, or with something deeper beneath the surface. Were they accidents? Artifacts? Or were they glimpses, however fleeting, of something else watching from within the film itself? You saw the stares. Now ask yourself, who was looking back? Let us know which moment unsettled you the most. And if you've ever caught a hidden glance the world seemed to ignore, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay alert, because the next time you press play, someone might already be watching.